Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and I'm very happy to have you here today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia, your co-host, and thank you so much for listening. If you are learning English and sometimes feel confused or stuck, today's episode is for you.
That's right, Julia. Today we're talking about a very important and interesting topic, how to build your English brain.
Yes, and don't worry, this does not mean studying hard grammar or memorizing long word lists.
Exactly. Building your English brain means learning how to think in English, understand English naturally, and feel more comfortable when you speak.
So relax, enjoy this conversation, and learn with us step by step.
Let's get started and learn how you can train your brain to use English more easily and more confidently. So, Julia, let's start with a simple question. What do we mean when we say an English brain?
That's a great question, Jason. An English brain means your mind starts to understand and use English naturally, without translating every word into your first language.
Exactly. Many learners first hear English, then translate it in their head, and only then understand it. That process is very slow and tiring.
Yes, and it can make you feel nervous when speaking. But when you build your English brain, English words start to feel familiar, like your own language.
It's just like learning how to drive a car. At the beginning, you think about every step, but later, you drive without thinking.
That's a perfect example. With an English brain, you don't think, what is this word in my language? You just understand it.
So, building an English brain is not about being perfect. It's about training your brain through listening, repeating, and using English every day.
And the good news is, anyone can build an English brain. You just need the right habits and a little patience.
Great point, Julia. Now that we understand what an English brain is, let's talk about why many learners feel stuck when learning English. Julia, now that we understand what an English brain is, why do so many learners feel stuck with English?
Oh, this is very common, Jason. Many learners feel stuck because they always translate in their heads instead of thinking in English.
Yes, and another reason is fear of making mistakes. People worry about saying the wrong word or grammar, so they stay quiet.
Exactly, and sometimes learners try to learn too many words at once or memorize long grammar rules. It's overwhelming, and the brain can't keep up.
Also, many learners don't practice English every day. If you study one day and skip the next, your brain forgets quickly.
Yes, consistency is very important. And another reason is not using English in real life, like speaking, thinking, or listening outside the classroom.
So the main problems are translating too much, fear of mistakes, overloading your brain, inconsistent practice, and not using English naturally.
But the good news is, all these problems can be solved. And today we'll show listeners practical steps to build their English brain.
Perfect. Let's start with the first step, listening before speaking. All right, Julia. The first step to building your English brain is listening before speaking. Why is listening so important?
Listening is like feeding your brain with English. Before you can speak naturally, your brain needs to hear words, phrases, and sentences many times.
Exactly. If you only focus on speaking or memorizing words, your brain has nothing to connect them to. Listening helps you understand how English sounds and how sentences flow.
And the good news is you don't need complicated materials. You can listen to simple podcasts, short videos, songs, or even conversations around you.
Right. And here's a tip. Listen actively. Don't just play English in the background. Try to notice words, phrases, and pronunciation.
Yes, and repeat small parts if you want. For example, if you hear, "How are you today?" say it out loud several times. Your brain starts to remember it naturally.
Also, listening regularly trains your brain to recognize English patterns. Soon, you'll understand words without translating them first.
And don't worry if you don't understand everything at the beginning. Even listening a little every day builds your English brain over time.
Great! So remember, listen first, actively and often. This is the first step to thinking and speaking English naturally. Julia, now that we've talked about listening, the next step is thinking in English. This one is very important for building your English brain.
Absolutely, Jason. Many learners always translate from their native language. For example, they think, "What is this word in my language?" instead of just understanding it in English.
Yes, and this slows everything down. Your brain needs to practice thinking directly in English.
Here's a simple exercise. Try describing things around you in English. For example, if you see a cup on the table, say in your mind, "This is a blue cup. It is full of water."
Exactly. You can do this anywhere at home, walking, or even sitting quietly. The more you practice, the easier it becomes.
Another tip is to talk to yourself in English. It can feel a little funny, but it trains your brain to use English naturally.
And don't worry about mistakes. The goal is thinking in English, not being perfect. Your brain learns by repetition and exposure.
Yes, Jason. Even small steps count. If you think in English for just 5 to 10 minutes a day, it's already building your English brain.
Great. So the key here is stop translating, describe what you see, and talk to yourself in English. This is how your brain starts to live in English. Julia, after listening and thinking in English, the next step is repetition. Repetition is very powerful for building your English brain.
Yes, Jason. Just like children learn their first language, they hear the same words and sentences many times. The brain remembers through repetition, not just memorization.
Exactly. For example, if you hear the phrase, "How are you?" every day, your brain will recognize it instantly. Soon, you'll say it naturally without thinking.
You can repeat words, sentences, or short conversations. Even reading aloud or listening and repeating is very helpful.
And don't forget, repetition is most effective daily, even if it's just 5 to 10 minutes. Small, consistent practice builds a strong English brain over time.
Also, repetition makes your brain comfortable with English sounds and patterns, so speaking becomes easier and faster.
So remember, repeat, repeat, and repeat. It may feel simple, but it works like magic for your English brain. Julia, the next important step is speaking without perfection. Many learners get stuck because they are afraid to make mistakes.
Yes, Jason. People often think I must speak perfectly or I'll sound bad. But this fear stops the brain from learning naturally.
Exactly. Mistakes are actually part of learning. When you speak, your brain practices forming sentences and words, even if they're not perfect at first.
Here's a tip. Focus on communication, not perfection. If someone understands you, that's a success.
Yes, Julia. And the more you speak, the faster your brain learns. Your English brain grows when you use English actively, not just study it silently.
Even speaking to yourself counts. You can repeat phrases, tell short stories, or describe your day. Every word you speak builds your English brain.
So remember, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Speak, practice, and enjoy the process. Perfection comes later. The important thing is fluency and confidence. Julia, now that we've covered listening, thinking, repetition, and speaking, let's talk about a daily routine to train your English brain.
Yes, Jason. A small, consistent routine is much more powerful than studying for hours once a week. Even 10 to 20 minutes a day makes a big difference.
Here's a simple plan. Morning. Listen to a short podcast or English song. Afternoon. Think in English about your surroundings or day. Evening. Speak or write in English for a few minutes.
Exactly. And you can mix activities. For example, read a short paragraph aloud, repeat sentences you hear, or describe your day in English.
Also, make it fun. Watch a favorite English video, talk to yourself, or play word games. Your brain learns faster when you enjoy the process.
And don't worry if you miss a day. Just start again tomorrow. Consistency over time is the key to building an English brain.
So remember, a daily routine, even short and simple, trains your brain to think and use English naturally.
Yes, Jason. Small steps every day make a big difference in the long run.
Julia, now let's do a short practice conversation so our listeners can see the English brain in action.
Great idea, Jason. Let's keep it very simple.
Hi, Julia. How are you today?
Hi, Jason. I'm good, thank you. And you?
I'm great. What did you do this morning?
I listened to an English podcast and wrote a few new words.
That's excellent. Listening and writing help your brain remember English naturally.
Yes, and even speaking to yourself like I just did while repeating the podcast sentences builds your English brain too.
See how easy it is? Just a short, natural conversation trains your brain to think and respond in English.
Exactly. Listeners, you can try this at home every day. Talk about your day, your plans, or even your favorite things in English.
Remember, the key is practice, not perfection. Every word you say is training your English brain. Julia, before we finish, let's give our listeners some final tips to build English faster.
Sure. First tip, be consistent every day. Even 10 minutes daily is better than one long session once a week.
Second tip, use English in real life. Talk, write, or think in English whenever you can.
Third tip, don't fear mistakes. Mistakes are how your brain learns. Speak and enjoy the process.
Fourth tip, mix listening, speaking, reading, and writing. A balanced practice trains your brain faster.
And finally, have patience and enjoy learning. Building your English brain takes time, but every small step counts.
Exactly. With daily practice and the right habits, your English brain will grow naturally. Julia, let's quickly recap what we talked about today.
Sure, Jason. First, we learned what an English brain is thinking and understanding English naturally.
Then, we discussed why learners feel stuck, like translating too much, fear of mistakes, and inconsistent practice.
After that, we shared 4 important steps. Listening before speaking. Thinking in English repetition builds the brain. Speak without perfection.
And we also gave a daily routine and did a live mini practice to show how easy it can be.
Exactly. And remember, building your English brain takes small, consistent steps every day. Even 5 to 10 minutes of practice counts.
So don't give up, enjoy the process, and keep practicing. Your brain can learn English naturally if you feed it the right way.
You can do this. Every word you listen to, repeat, or say brings you closer to thinking in English.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode on how to build your English brain.
Yes, we hope you enjoyed it and learned some useful tips to practice English every day.
If you liked this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.
And try our mini practice at home. Listen, think, repeat, and speak in English daily.
We'll see you in the next episode with more tips to help you learn English faster and more naturally.
Bye for now. Keep practicing and enjoy building your English brain.